our next speaker today, Andrzej Kwaśnicki, currently at Global Logic. Andrzej is a test consultant with 9 years of experience in software testing in the telecommunication, medical, banking and energy sectors. He believes that a good atmosphere and sense of humor are the best motivators for teams, and he's famous for his creation, for his invention. Namely, he's built quite a powerful gaming PC and he uses it to play online chess in a web browser. Today he'll be talking about how to test the back end of a web application, and it's a meme-driven approach. Andrzej, welcome to TestDive. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm really happy that you've joined my short presentation. But let's be honest. I'm pretty sure that you are here to see some memes, and I hope I will not disappoint you, and you will find a story which I've prepared interesting and maybe even funny. The goal for my presentation was to build it only using memes, which you can find over the internet. So yeah, hope it will be good background to my story. First of all, today we are going to explore the butterfly or domino effect. We will try to understand how exactly does it happen that Joe Biden election for the US president led to a creation of the whole army of popes in the Polish internet. It might sound ridiculous at first sight, but we'll try to see what actually happened. It was January this year, I believe, January or February, something around that time. I was supposed to conduct my workshops of backend testing for the second or third time, and I wanted to refresh it a bit. I realized it had to be done, around 2 months before, but as a lifetime procrastinator, I finally assumed that workshops starts tomorrow at 10 a.m. And it is 10 p.m. already, so it might be a good time, good time to start. So I started to dig into that topic. I tried to make some polishing changes, maybe new examples or exercises for the participants. But of course, I didn't start, exactly at 10 p.m., right? First, I've played a few bullet chess games online, like I mentioned before, checked social media, and finally went to Wykop. Well, you probably know that Polish site. It's something similar to Reddit. I saw a huge thread full of memes and funny posts. And at that time, I knew that my upcoming workshops, the next day, were going to be dedicated to the thing which I saw that night. And of course, as a procrastinator, I must say that this presentation was mainly also prepared, of course, yesterday. Okay, so first of all, getting back to the topic and the front end and back end thing. First of all, why this distinction is so important, and what does it mean exactly? So, in short words, front end is a part of a web application which is visible to the user, for instance, using web browser or a client. And backend is on a server side. You can find a business logic over there, data stored in database, all mechanisms to process data, etc. Right? I have a very good example of that. In the picture, you can see a very accurate representation of web application from the finance industry. You can see now shiny and sparkling responsive UI on top of extremely old systems written in COBOL or Fortran, where exactly the main risk is that one of the engineers is going to retire, and the second one will most likely die because of age, right? So typical financial industry stuff. So going back to the main story, as you probably know, Joe Biden was elected and Donald Trump had to step down. It was like start of this year. And during swearing in, there were protests and even raid on Capitol. During that time, Trump was active in social media. So then it was considered as encouragement for the riots. So in order to not to heat up the atmosphere, his Twitter, Facebook, and other social media accounts were suspended. And at that point of time, it was January this year, one of Polish journalists came up with an idea of creation a new, better Facebook, where you are completely free and you can post whatever you want. Complete freedom. Accounts will not be banned, account will not be suspended, and you can basically do whatever actually you want, right? So idea was like beginning of the year, and you want to create a new, better Facebook, right? So of course, how hard can it be? Basically, all you need is just to hire, I don't know, 4 experienced software engineers, or even maybe better, 6 juniors, because it will be cheaper. Of course, you need to provide them a coffee machine, Banana Tuesdays and Apple Fridays, right? 3, 4 sprints, and boom, new Facebook is ready, right? It sounds reasonable, but maybe not really. So when I saw in VCOP that night, what I saw in VCOP that night was a huge thread of bugs, issues, and jokes done by trolls in the freshly launched new Facebook. So basically, the story and this presentation basically is going through the most interesting, most funny issues, which was found during, I don't know, the first or maybe 2 first days of this new Facebook operating, right? And basically, just let me describe some of them, because it was really catastrophic at the end. And of course, it all started, from small things. So the first thing, which was really interesting as it comes to new Facebook or new site, which I'm describing right now, was the process of creating an account, right? So when you wanted to create an account, you need to provide, of course, valid data, your email address. You need to put information about you, your name, surname, etc. And then you should be able to create your account, get email confirmation, confirm it, and you will have fully operational account. But it was not the case in that situation, because during account creation, there was a possibility to create an account without providing any data, because backend checks were absent. So if you were sending any information to backend, it was accepted without any warnings, without any issues, no problem, right? So you can put into input fields whatever you want. Of course, there was validation on the front end, but it was really easy to overcome. So basically, there was a possibility to create an account without name, without email address, basically just account with fake data. There was also even possibility to create a massive number of accounts, because confirmation to email was not coming because of the huge load at the very beginning of after the launch of this portal. So first, trolls from Wikop started to create a massive number of accounts because there were completely no restriction about it. You can create multiple accounts even if they found out that something is wrong, and even if they ban you somehow, then you should just change your IP and you can create accounts again, right? So during that massive load of created accounts, the service just after the launch went down. So that was the first issue. So plenty of accounts with fake data. Okay. The second thing, and basically that thing is one of my favorites as it comes to this portal. There are completely no rules as it comes to password creation, right? Length can be whatever you want. It can be 1 character, it can be even without password, or it can be also very long. And you may think, oh, it's not a big deal, right? There is information that you should create a password between 8 and 32 characters, right? But basically, there was a possibility to put any password you want over there. And at that night, it was just a night when the portal was freshly launched. One of Wikop members has found out that you can basically copy paste anything into the password input field, right? So what he did, he actually copy pasted the whole Pantadeusz. Pantadeusz is around 500,000 characters, and he put it as his new password, right? And of course, he show off on Wikop that it's possible, right? So the other guy from Wikop pasted Pantadeusz 8 times as a password and tried to create an account, right? And so on, and the other trolls started to do it the same. And as you know, passwords are not stored in secured system in DB as plain text, right? It is just hashed and created, and only the hash of the password is just stored in the database, right? So entered password has to be hashed and then saved to database, but the password was, I don't know, 4 million characters, right? So it was really difficult for limited resources of the server, which it turned out was really cheap OVH dedicated server for around $2 per day. So the huge number of extremely long passwords actually killed the service for the second time. So for the second time, the service went down, and it was, as I remember, the first night after launching the application, right? Basically, the mechanism is pretty simple. You want to have a validation on front end of the application and the backend application, which is, let's say, straightforward and pretty simple and similar, right? If you expect the user to enter password between 8 and 32 characters, if he will create a password which is longer and try to submit it and create an account, there should be information from backend. Come on, guy, your password is too long, right? We cannot process it. We will not even try to do it. Just use password within the range, right? So as it comes to front-end and backend validation, it reminds me interesting and quite funny situation from my workshops the previous year. When one of the members told me that in Global Logic, this is for your information, we have a portal when you can find information about employees, and also you can thank for something, right? You can appreciate someone, you can put information that someone did something really awesome. So there is a possibility to send, let's say, voice of appreciation, right? And you can see something here. And basically, during my workshops, it turned out that there is a possibility to send kudos to yourself. I mean, this is what I have found during the workshops. One of my colleagues from work said that, basically on front end, it is not allowed to send kudos to yourself, right? But if you copy paste the request and you just change sender ID and receiver ID to yourself, you can easily send kudos to yourself. And actually, just for testing purposes, right? I did exactly as described. So as you can see, I've sent kudos to myself for being such an inspiration, and just thank you. Basically, there are plenty of examples of that mismatch between front end and back end. And let me tell you a funny story which happened, I don't know, 4 years ago, something around 4 years ago. I was working with a really awesome QA engineer, Vitali, and he was from Ukraine, and he needed to do some paperwork in Urząd Wojewódzki in Wrocław, right? And he found out that there is a possibility to book an appointment using website, right? But of course, all appointments in I don't know, 1 week or 2 weeks advance was taken already, and it was shown by a gray button. You just cannot book appointment for you because the button is gray. You cannot click it, right? Boomer, right? So what he did, he actually copy pasted the request with the date which is in future and change it to another day. And of course, he sent that message directly using Postman, and he did receive an email notification that, okay, no problem, your visit is booked. You can come and deal with your paperwork and things. It was regarding Karta Polaka, whatever, right? So you may think, okay, it was a long time ago. It was, not a big harm, right? He just had his visit, I don't know, 2 weeks earlier, right? But recently, my colleague told me that he used exactly the same mechanism when he wanted to vaccinate himself. You know that there were some limits as it comes to vaccination. The people who are older started first, and if you are young, you need to wait, right? It was a normal situation. The term, the available dates were just only for people with certain age, etc., right? And basically what he did exactly the same. He booked a vaccination appointment for, I don't know, 3 or 4 days in advance, right? When he's supposed to not to be allowed to, right? Because he's quite young. And you may think, of course, it was rejected. He received information that there was a problem with the system and he should not be vaccinated at the time, right? No, it didn't happen. He went for a vaccination, and he was surprised because he suspected that he won't be vaccinated at the time, but it was something weird because the medical guys, I mean nurses and doctor, they were pretty surprised that such a young guy is being vaccinated that early. So he must be someone important, or he has to know someone important to have such possibility. But actually what he did, he just did a direct request to API. And going back to the new Facebook, the portal which I'm describing, there were plenty of issues. The one with creating account, no limited password. There were also a few bugs which I find really funny. I mean, from my perspective, it's just fun. First of all, someone created account which was called login. Login. That was the account. Just login and nothing else. And the thing is that when you enter this profile, you want to, see the wall, etc. You are logged out. How? It was just magic. You just enter a profile called login, and you're automatically logged out, and you need to log in again. The second funny thing was that also someone created an account called delete account. Delete underscore account. So when you entered that profile, your account was deleted. So you just went and your account is missing. Fun fact, because it was a very early stage of that portal, that way was the only way to delete account at that time. So there was no, profile or settings where you can delete your account. There were no such functionality, but only by entering account called delete account. There was also possibility to write on someone else's wall just by changing user ID. So you try to create a post on your wall, right? But what you do, you just change ID of the user, and then your post will be visible on someone else's wall, right? So like you can see, probably there were no identity management system implemented at all. So there were no access rights, there are no permissions, what you should be able to do and what is, blocked for you. And remember, this is the first night after the launch. The next thing, which was also interesting, and this is also something which you can check in your application, if you try to put different things in input fields. And one of the guys from VCOP, he tried to change his background image, right? And he wanted to put something funny over there, so he chose a GIF image, right? So moving like animation, right? First of all, the GIF was around 200 megabytes. So you may think that if you're trying to send 200 megabytes GIF image to the portal and set it as your background, it will not be allowed. And basically, yes, it was not allowed, because when he sent that GIF, the whole application went down for the third time. And as a reminder, it was the first night. And on top of that, security websites informed, security-related websites informed that, okay, this is not a safe application, but what happened? It turned out that credentials to database of the whole application leaked. And you can see in the picture that the whole data related to connect to database was just stored in a file. And there is a method called path traversal. Path traversal is just trying using slash and dots to move to the upper directory in order to find something there. If there are no permissions, if there are no, proper access rights implemented, you are able to go what's, for instance, in directory above, right? So in the particular example, the method, which is called path traversal, it is pretty simple, and basically this is like a kindergarten for pen testers, right? When you are 6 years old and you try to become a pen tester, you're trying to do such things and learn, right? So all you need to do is neither be lucky or guess the directory structure on the server, and that's it. And one of the Polish services called Niebezpiecznik, they informed that database credentials, and database itself has leaked. And actually, it happened in 3 different ways using 3 different methods in 3 different files, I assume. And what actually happened when niebezpiecznik, there are guys which are really moral, so they informed the founder of the portal that, look, there is a huge problem with security. A lot of data has leaked, and the founder responded, as you can see, there were no leaks and everything is under control. You should not worry about it. By the way, I have also a screenshot related to problems when what should be displayed. There is a question. What should be displayed in case something is wrong on the server side? And there is an example. There might be 2 options. First of all, you can see a funny dog in the old Apple computer, right? And information that internal server occurred. And on the other hand, you can see part of stack trace or information what went wrong when you were calling database. And basically, what message is better? Of course, the better is just to show sleeping dog. You should not expose information about application, what version of a software is running over there, what kind of server, operating system, etc. And sometimes it can be used for exploits and it can be perfectly used for penetration. Okay, so going to the final part. Niebezpiecznik suggested not to create a real account over there. Basically, the screenshot says a lot of people ask us, what do we think about the service? This is our response. Stay away from it. Do not leave any real data over there. They might leak again. There are plenty of basic safety errors or bugs. It's hard to believe that someone launched something like that in production. So you have information that basically you should not create account over there using your real data. So it's in line with trolls from VCOP, which created plenty of fake accounts, right? So don't you think, is this the end? Or what happened next? And what happened next is, from my perspective, mind-blowing. The next day, after the launch, which, as you know right now, was a disaster, in social media, there was information that the new Facebook, just freshly created, has now 10,000 users. But I knew, and you know already right now, that half of them were trolls, fake accounts of politicians, and of course popes, as John Paul II is the favorite character to used for trolling in VCOP. So basically, there was a very funny picture when showed how actually the service looks like inside, and I'm presenting to you right now. And at the end, my favorite one, there is a screenshot of a guy who created an account over there, and he managed to collect a really nice set of friends. The set of friends can be seen here. Actually, my favorite one is Zamorski Zawadiaka, but you can choose whichever you want to be your favorite. So 10,000 users, but probably 5,000 of them just fake accounts. Of course, the service moved in, so probably a lot of those issues which I'm describing, it is corrected now, of course, and it is still running. But let's use it as a, let's say, guide how not to prepare a service to production. And if you want to think, okay, but so how can I test my backend of my application, right? So my advice is just to take the memes and screenshots which I prepared for you, and just to be sure that you cover all the issues which I described today. And as it comes to the technical side, if you are in front of your computers, you can try to scan. You can try to scan this QR code which I've prepared. It will redirect you to YouTube, where you can see exactly how you should test backend of the application. Like pretty technical. That's all what I prepared for you today. Thank you. And I'm just moving to Discord to see if there are any questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed. Andrzej Kwaśnicki there from Global Logic, talking to us how to test the back end of a web application. If you'd like to stay with us for just a few more minutes, Andrzej, we've got one or two questions from the audience, and the first one is, how common are the issues that you've described? So you said 5,000, and out of those 10,000 accounts may be fake. Could you elaborate that a little bit? How common are the issues you've described?
As it comes to my experience, I can say that issues which trolls have found are basically pretty common, and it is really important to hire, I don't know, external company which will do pen testing or someone who can help with that, because issues like we described, like not consistent backend and front end, this is pretty often, because from my perspective, it is happening quite usually that on backend side of the application and on the front side of the application, there are different engineers working on that, right? Of course, they has to be aligned, but still it is happening pretty often. And as it comes to troll accounts, and I'm not sure what is the exact number, right? But at the beginning of that portal, I'm pretty sure that the bigger part was fake accounts and accounts with you know, fake accounts of politicians or just you know, trolls from the code.
Brilliant. Okay, fantastic. And just one more question, if you will. What would you recommend people to read in terms of security?
In terms of security, I must say that I've subscribed to 3 Polish sites. First of all is very famous Niebezpiecznik. The second one is Zaufana Trzecia Strona and Sekurak. Those 3 are really good to have in your bookmarks. Just take a look, you know, daily or for 2 days or 3 days, just to check the news, because the guys are doing a perfect job describing problems which you can find online, or even scam situations with SMSs from InPost, etc. So it's good to know. It's good to know what's going on over the internet.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Andrzej Kwaśnicki there, representing Global Logic. Andrzej is a test consultant there, and he was talking to us about testing back end of a web application.